Well, hello everyone, and welcome once again to another edition of Community College Presidents talking about community college. And as I've said in previous videos, often presidents get together and chat about different things just to keep in touch with what each other are doing on their campus and steal or borrow ideas from each other from time to time. And lately, because of the crisis, it's been almost like a support group as we meet. So we're just going to continue that right now. And my next guest, if you will, is Dr. Alice Blondin. And Dr. Blondin, pleasure to have you here. Thanks for being
Thanks
here.
for having me. Yeah, I really appreciate it. This is a great opportunity, and I know that we also have the opportunity, instead of being in our regular offices, being in our home offices, and mine just so happens to be the couch in the living room. So anyway.
Well, I am still in my regular office, but yours looks much more comfortable than mine does.
My
But
office at work, I miss so much. Oh my goodness, I miss it. But this is where I sit when I'm home, doing work or relaxing. And like we were talking a little bit earlier, but my husband's on the second floor, my daughter's up in the attic. So this is the space that I get. And I'm just not comfortable sitting at the dining room table. We have kind of a small house, so I've just co-opted this and added a heating pad for warmth.
okay, it looks very cozy. Happy Community College Month. That's not really why we're doing this, but it happens to be
Yeah, I know.
Community College Month. So how are you doing with all of the things that are going on? How are you holding up?
That's an excellent question, and it's something that I ask people about 8 or 9 times a day. I know that it took a while for many of our employees to adjust to working from home. Everybody has been working from home since early March. So we've been at this for more than a month. It is a challenge. There are so many, and I'm keeping a list of them. There's so many silver linings. I have a list of about 12 of them now, including something that I've really been excited about, getting everything totally online so students never need to come to campus in the enrollment process. So we've accomplished that, including placement testing. But it really has been difficult trying to establish a routine. We all joke about it's 10 o'clock, we look up, we haven't brushed our teeth. We're seeing each other in new and unique outfits. And I don't think everybody has asked me, I didn't know you had curly hair. And I said, oh yeah, I work on that every morning, but not right now. So anyway, it's just been kind of a change, but we've done some things to unite together. We still continue with our spirit days, and we still I've been having, instead of having my town hall meeting every 2 months, I'm having it every week. I do an open door meeting on Fridays that's really relaxed at 11, and we just come in and talk about anything, whatever's going on, personal or professional. And so I think that staying connected has been important. And frankly, I'll be honest with you, in some ways, I feel more connected to the employees at Clark State than I did when I was coming into the office physically. So on that side, it's positive. On the student side, it's been a really big challenge because I don't feel as connected to the students. I have gone into a few classes. I have had the opportunity to hear presentations, one on student mental health, which I thought was really important, and we're making changes as we speak because of the work that they're doing in that sociology class. So I do think that the work continues. It just looks so different in how we're executing it right now.
Sure. Well, yeah, it's definitely a shock. I think that it appears like people are adapting, as well as they can. Of course, I talk to students and they're struggling with all kinds of things. Not
Yes.
only just, schoolwork a little bit, but it's really more just the stress of everything going on in the world right now and how that goes into whatever they're doing with us. But you're from Clark State Community College, and you're my second interview from Ohio, actually. And so, if you would go ahead and tell us, a little about yourself, your background, and then a little about Clark State.
Yeah, well, I'm really proud to be Clark State's fifth president. Prior to coming to Clark State, I was chancellor of Arkansas Tech Ozark campus in Ozark, Arkansas, and Russellville, Arkansas for 7 years. Before that, I always say I've done everything at a college except for a dean. I've had every job, including for about it was about actually 2 weeks, I was chief fiscal officer. So I've had every job, athletic director. I've had everyone, even if for a short time. But I've done a lot of different roles. I've had a lot of different roles at the colleges I've served. But I started out as an English professor at first at Arizona State University as a faculty associate, the absolute lowest level faculty member at ASU, where I got my doctorate and my master's degree, and then moved on to the University of Arkansas Fort Smith, which was at the time called West Ark College. It was a 2-year that transitioned then to university, and then from there went to Arkansas Tech as chief student officer, chief academic officer, then chancellor and professor of English, tenured professor of English at Arkansas Tech in Russellville, and then moved up here. I was repatriated to the Midwest because I'm from Indiana and Ohio we're right next door, and I married a Buckeye, and so he wanted to get closer to home. And he's both my daughter and my husband are both Ohio State graduates, and she's there in vet school now. So it all worked out timing wise for us to come back, and I'm happy to be back close to home.
Okay. Yeah, and we have a common bond with Arkansas Tech, as I got my master's degree in college student personnel at Arkansas Tech, and then I actually taught for them. I had several students that worked at your Ozark campus at the time, so I'm assuming
Oh,
you were probably there around the same time. But yeah,
yeah,
um,
I was there from or excuse me. Yeah, I was on campus from 2004, January of '04 until June of 2013.
okay,
And I loved it. Yeah. And I love Arkansas Tech, and Dr. Brown, who was president at the time, was one of my biggest mentors. And I really appreciate everything that he did for me. And I love that campus.
yeah,
But I like Ozark campus better.
it's a really great school.
It is.
Well, you are you're the third community college president that I've talked to in these interviews, but all of you have had a background in English, that wasn't intentional, but it's interesting. So, what was it about community college leadership, or what drew you to being a leader at a community college?
That's another awesome question. So when I did a joint master's and PhD program at Arizona State University in English. My background is actually just oh so useful, 18th century British literature, and I still get to lecture on. I just lectured on it. I lectured on a play in the fall on, if anyone cares, Oliver Goldsmith's She Stoops to Conquer. But anyway, I am very passionate about that time period, 1660 to 1837, because you asked. Anyway, but I loved what I was doing. I loved teaching. And when after I was at ASU, I think it was about a year or two, I was there for a total of 5 years. I applied for a fellowship program through the graduate college. It was also sponsored by the Pew Charitable Trust and the American Association of Colleges and Universities. It was called Preparing Future Faculty. And I was selected to be a fellow my first year. And then my second year, I was blessed to be selected as the program director. So I got that taste of administration, which I always knew I wanted to do from my time at Purdue as an undergraduate. I was heavily involved in student government and saw how a few voices can really affect change. And I really enjoyed my time there as well. So when I was selected for Preparing Future Faculty, we participated in a number of activities, but all those activities had to be seen through the lens of different types of higher educational institutions. So the first type was the research one institution like ASU. The second was a teaching intensive university like ASU West campus. The third was a private liberal arts college, which at the time was Grand Canyon University. It was tiny. It wasn't 2,000 students when I was at ASU. Now it's this large online institution, but at the time it was our model for a small liberal arts college. And then, of course, the Maricopa system served as the model for the community college. We had to do various activities, including teaching at one of the institutions. And I just absolutely fell in love at Mesa Community College. It was a great experience. I connected with the students. And at ASU, we had a large commuter population. We also had a population of older adults who were coming back. So I was used to the variety of students and the barriers that they faced. And so I just felt a lot more comfortable at a community college and saw the changes that could be made there. So I fell in love, and when I applied for full-time positions, I wanted to get a full-time teaching position for a year at ASU just to make sure I had that strong experience. And that's when I went to West Ark College in Arkansas. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, your kind of your background from what I've gleaned about you is, you're known for being student centered and seeing you're very active on social media and interacting with people, students and employees, it seems. Um, give examples of why do people say that about you being student centered? Give some things that you've done in your career that
Yeah.
really focus on students and engage them.
You know, I always say this at meetings or in interviews. Whenever I speak to people, I've never forgotten what it was like to be a student, not one day. Both the awesome experiences and the mentoring experiences that I had as a student, but also the challenges I had as a student, particularly there was one class my freshman year in college where I was told I wasn't college material,
Mm.
and that was that was pretty difficult at the time. How I managed to push through that is still astonishing to me, because I saw something in myself that somebody didn't see. And so I promised myself that I would never be the kind of teacher, human being who would ever not see the potential in somebody. And community colleges are about nothing else except seeing that potential. That's what we do. And so, and we believe in people. A lot of people who haven't believed in themselves, and I was definitely one of those individuals. I was a good student. I was a smart person, but for whatever reason, was told that and thought that just can't be true. I'm here. I'm a freshman at Purdue. But anyway, so I pushed through that, and it's really my job, I feel like, every day. And I work with students and have worked at, whether as an English professor or as an administrator, with students that were just sent such messages that it really is. I mean, I feel like it's my ethical and moral responsibility to undo those messages and give them the right messages so that they can prosper in our society, because we're here to create the middle class. That's what we do. And how do we help people do that? They have to believe in themselves. So I think that I get the reputation because I listen to students, I care deeply, and I'm always advocating for them. So I always ask the question. It was the first question I asked when I got to Clark State: is it easier to enroll or withdraw? And you know what the answer is. It's easier to withdraw. That's a push of a button. Now enrolling, that takes about 10 weeks or whatever it does. I'm joking, but now it doesn't, because I mean, our staff is so student focused and student centered. But I think that when you think of everything from the perspective of a student, even the things that are difficult to think about, even when I mean, of course, our job as college presidents is to advance the institution and support students. And sometimes the answers that we have, students don't like. But I think finding ways to ensure and explain that what we're doing is in the best interest of students, and also the people who take care of students, which are our faculty and our faculty members and our staff members, is really key. And so I think I get that reputation because I just never, ever one day, I've never woken up and thought, it's all 100% college president. It's all about the bottom line. It's not. It
Right.
really is about people. And if you
Right.
think about it that way, it's pretty easy to stay student centered.
Well, that's a really great example, and I think that's true. You see those students in community colleges that seem to be um, a lot more odds against them. I love that statement about which is easier to do, withdraw or enroll. I'm going to use that now, but as I said, we steal things from each other. But yeah, that's really fantastic, and I'm not one of your students, of course, but I want to say on their behalf, we appreciate that. I think that's really great
Thank you.
what you're doing for them. So you have a great career in education. You've been doing higher ed for a while, so I know there's been, I'm sure, some pet peeves that have come up in that. And this is something I ask everybody I talk to, just because I'm curious. I have a few myself, so I'm curious what others have. And so I want to give you a chance. If you have any pet peeves in higher education in general, I would love to hear those.
Oh, I have a few. The first one that I have is, and I've noticed it myself, even in this interview, I have said 2 year, 2 year, but we're all higher education, and it really drives me crazy about the 2-year versus 4-year, and the way, I know that Steve Robinson's done such a great job around hashtag NCC stigma, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, I just get really exasperated is the word, in thinking that we don't have the quality. I mean, our faculty are second to none, and I had 2.5% of my faculty out of 320 who couldn't put classes online. And we helped those faculty to get it online. So I really do wonder why that distinction is made when I know the quality. And I mean, we hire the faculty. We know. Well, I mean, they're excellent at what they do, and our staff are absolutely committed and loyal to our students. So I get really tired about. I get really tired of hearing the distinction between a 2 and 4 year. And frankly, in this COVID-19 time, I mean, we're in the pole position. I mean, we don't have, or my campus doesn't have dormitories. My campus doesn't have a lot of the infrastructure that needs to be maintained by that sort of institutional overall infrastructure. And so we don't have that. So I do feel a great advantage during this time, but also knowing that I can provide that at a lower cost, and there are reasons for that. So that really gets on my nerves. And then on a personal level, especially as a female president, when I go around the country, or I'm at conferences, or even as I was moving up through the ranks, it seemed like all the men who had doctorates would always say, well, you know what, just call me Mike, or something like that. And I said, okay, Dr. X, because I don't feel comfortable doing that, and you've earned your doctorate, I'm going to show you that respect. But I always tell people, you could call me Dr. Blondin, you could call me Dr. Joe, or you could call me Mrs. Fox, because that's my married name. But you really need to call me one of those things, because there is a certain amount of, there's a bit of a gendered kind of quality to the comfort level of saying, just call me Joe. And then maybe there's not that respect. So I have to admit, when somebody says that to me, I'm always taken aback a little bit, because the bubble over my head is saying, please call me Dr. Blondin. So I really have felt that way now. And I became a college president, or the title was chancellor, when I was 35 years old. And so a lot of that comes from my experience and my gender. But I do feel like it's very important from a respect standpoint, and with the faculty as well, that you honor the work that they did. And so that's a pet peeve of mine when I meet a new president or somebody, and they always say, oh, just call me. And I thought, well, if we're friends, I'll call you that. But right now, I'll just go ahead and call you Dr. Brown. But anyway, and even my dissertation director said that to me after I graduated. He goes, oh, call me Skip. And I go, okay, Dr. Brack. No, I'm not doing that. So in academia, some of the traditions should be honored. And that's one that, and I'm kind of it's like a cafeteria to me, I guess, but that's one I'll continue to honor. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think it's really true. And I mean, from a male perspective, I've worked for, my 2 previous presidents were women, and I could never do that either. I always felt like, saying the doctor before their last name is just, I felt like it was respectful, what you should do. But you do see that a lot, that double standard almost that's out there.
Right.
And even when talking to others outside of higher ed, or anywhere, and you say, my president or whatever, and they'll say, well, what does he think about that? It's like,
right.
Well, you're making a little bit of an assumption there. But it's something that, you're right, I think it's out there. And like I said, I've noticed it from my perspective of seeing it happen by working with women leaders. So you mentioned COVID-19 and what's going on. Talk to us a little about how Clark State is adjusted, and some of the things that you had to do to get this ready. You kind of mentioned a few of them earlier.
So back in 2015, we started planning around a big safety focus with the Capitol bill. So Ohio has been lucky, and I've been lucky to be part of it since I got to Clark State in 2013. We've had a Capitol bill in 14, 16, 18, who knows about 20, and I understand that because of the situation we're all in, but we have had 4 capital bill cycles. And the second capital bill, we started planning for an influx of safety training and funding for our campus as a whole. This was some of the training and planning started before Umpqua, and others and other training was accelerated as a result of that terrible situation at Umpqua Community College. And so we really focused on getting up to speed, both from a technology, we started the technology piece in 13, but we really focused on training, particularly around, we've done all types of different training, whether it's active shooter, tornado, or pandemic. So we've done all those types of trainings, and formed our emergency response team, strengthened our communication process, and made a lot of investments in both our infrastructure as well as our virtual infrastructure. So I wouldn't say, I don't think anyone was prepared in the way that they would have wanted to be, but I feel like we went from 0 to online pretty quickly. And a lot of the reason is because of that planning. And of course, that planning was among the faculty who put like I said, every class had a Blackboard shell already. It was our instructional designer. It was our vice president for information technology and security. I mean, we have really done a lot around cybersecurity. And so I felt prepared as best we could. And my whole goal in all of this is still to keep everyone whole. It's going to be a challenge, but I really want to make sure that we take care of our people, because our people are our greatest resource. It's not a cliche, it's just true. And so I think that getting everybody online. And the other thing that I would say that really helped was, and any new president I think can attest to this, but when I came to Clark State in 13, we started an all-inclusive strategic planning process that was campus-wide. We shut the campus down on several occasions to do the planning, to put it together, to relook at our mission. And we just rebooted that again. We did it in 2013, 14, and then rebooted in 18. And I think having that mission focus and having gone through all those exercises and kept the strategic plan at the top of mind at all times has really aided Clark State in being connected during this time.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. So in the interest of time, I want to make sure I give you the last 2 minutes to kind of tell people whatever you want to talk about, then I'll come back in the end. So take it away.
Oh, okay. You know, these are the most challenging times right now, but I do think that Clark State we've all made the decision as a campus community that when this is over, there will be a new normal. We won't go back to what it was like in December, January. But I think that we have decided that there are a lot of good things that we want to keep doing. Telecommuting, we can do it. Obviously, we can serve students. We can serve our evening students better. There's so many silver linings in all this that we're capturing them by surveying our employees. So I think that's really important during this time to make sure that we're staying connected with each other, but that we also know that we've been a remade college, and how we continue to remake ourselves and innovate is going to be extremely important moving forward. And it'll be the great differentiator. There was an article that came out, I believe it was 2 days ago, in Forbes magazine, and it's kind of a recycled version of the one you hear all the time, which is, even in a good economy, 500 colleges are going to close in the next 5 years. Now that's true. Whereas before you kind of thought, yes, higher ed is the most conservative sector of the economy. Okay. I do believe that and I'm on the Higher Learning Commission board as well. And and just being on that board has given me a lot of perspective on this issue as well. So I believe that we will see more, and that community colleges are absolutely positioned to be the colleges of choice in starting, that started about, it started a long time ago. It started in the 60s when we were founded. But I think our access and success missions have been re-energized during this time. And I also think that the pivot in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s around success has been paying off dividends for community colleges.
All right, great. Thank you. Very well said. So before we end, I do have one more question about some other household members you have. I just want to know how your cats are adjusting to people being around so much.
I wanted them to come down. That's why I kind of positioned myself here. But they are, I have a picture of them, I guess I could show, but anyway, I want Pork Chop and Mr. Primrose are holy terrors is what they are. Mr. P made a big mess upstairs while my husband was working today by, I think a bunch of books fell off a shelf. I don't know what, I heard it, that's all. And Pork Chop stays with Helen all day. So I don't know where they are. They must not want their greenies. But I was trying to get them down here. I think what I may have to settle for is just oh, I heard them. They're coming. Somebody's coming. Somebody heard the greenies.
There they are.
But I also, here he is. Oh, there you are. Are you looking for your brother? Now I have to actually give you a greeting, which like I always say to people on campus, I'm a woman of my word. If I said something, I do it. So here's your greenie. But yeah, they're my friends.
Right.
They're
Well,
my coworkers.
thank you very much. Really appreciate you joining us today, Dr. Blondin. It's been a pleasure to meet you and get to know you a little bit. And
Yeah.
Let's keep fighting the good fight out there.
Yes, and we'll see you. I know that we didn't get to celebrate the 100th anniversary in person for AACC. I was so looking forward to that. And but we'll all see each other again, and all the college presidents will get to celebrate, and especially celebrate how awesome our people did during this time, because both our students and our employees are really kicking it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much. And please stay well. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks.